All right, guys, what am I working on today? This thing looks a little funny, but it at least has a turbo. And I say it has a turbo, but it actually needs a turbo as well. That's what we're getting into today. So I bought this Chevy HHR SS. So it's the turbocharged one, but it needs a turbo. And it is automatic, it's not manual, unfortunately. But I think it'll be a cool around town car. So I got it for $1,000 from my buddy, and I'm gonna fix it. First things first, I'm gonna start it, and I wanna see if there's any combustion gases in the coolant. That'll tell me if there's a head gasket or not, head gasket issue. So let me start off with that. Then I'm gonna do a leak down test on the cylinders. Then, if that's all decent, get into pulling the turbo off. So far so good on the coolant. It's just vibrating, but no bubbles at least coming out. So let me shut it down, and then I can pull the coils and pressurize the cylinders. Here's cylinder 1. What is that? Almost 170. Cylinder 2, 175-ish. Cylinder 3 is about 170-ish. All right, and last but not least, cylinder 4, almost 180. So yeah, compression number is very healthy. Let's do leak down. All right, leak down test came back as under 5% leak down or leakage in every cylinder. So that's really solid. I'm very happy with those results. So I'm happy to move along and replace the turbo. All right, so far I got the downpipe off. All right, it still has all its material. So to take this off, it's just 4 15 millimeters right here and 3 right there. No real special way of doing this. I used a wrench back there, just like a longer wrench to have more leverage. And then up here, used a 15 deep socket with a few extensions. All of them came off no problem. Didn't need to soak them or anything. I did spray a little PB Blaster on them, but they were all fine. No rust on this car, so that's good. And the O2 sensor just unclips from up near the engine bay. I skipped a few steps, but I now have it just bolted onto the manifold, which are 13 millimeters. So I'm gonna get a 13 deep socket, get those off, and the turbo should come right out. So the first thing I did was disconnect the cat that you guys saw. So disconnected the downpipe, and then I did the O2 housing that's over here on the side. Did that next, and then I did the lines, so the feed for the oil, and then the coolant lines are on the back right here. I did those two. Once those were off, I also took off this PCV fitting that's way over here. I don't have a quick disconnect that can fit in that tight spot, so I just took the whole thing off. It was a 10 millimeter, and it bolts in right there. There goes my light. So after I did all that, you have to undo the blow-off valve as well, and the wiring connector to the boost solenoid. There's a wiring connector. It has a little metal bar that you push in and then slides off. It's easy to take off. So after all that's disconnected, what you have to do is there is 4 bolts that go to the turbo. There are 13 millimeters. I use a deep socket and a short extension and ratchet for them. I undid all those, and then the turbo backs off and pulls up and out. The drain comes out with it, so don't disconnect the drain. It just pulls right out of its slot. So it's really not that bad doing a turbo on one. I've just been taking my time and checking everything, and yeah, it wasn't too bad at all. Ooh, there she blows. All right, guys, so I got this turbo off, and you can hear the shaft play. It's hard to see. Probably also hear the bead that's on me, but that's in and out. That's not side to side, that's in and out. And it's probably like a 1/4 inch of shaft play. It's a lot. So, good thing we got a replacement. Now, what I'm doing with this is I already took the wastegate off of this because here it is. It's just a no-name one, and I don't really trust it. So I took that one off. I'm gonna put the board, this one's an actual Borg Warner one, throw this one on here. Need to adjust the preload. That's why I have a little dot right here. Should be like 3 turns, and then it's loose from this. Once you have it tight against this arm, then you do another 3 turns and lock it in with the lock nut, and that should be the correct preload. And I also swapped over the boost solenoid because this one's made by Pierberg, and this one is just a cheap one, and yeah, I don't trust it, so I replaced it. All right, I basically got it ready to go in. I'm just gonna have to transfer this, but I'll do that once it's in. I transferred the oil drain. I just need to put a new O-ring right here because you don't want this to leak, because from what I see, you kind of have to pull the turbo to get this out. It'll be real annoying to get that out in the car. So yeah, put a new O-ring in this, and I already got gaskets for all these. This is just surface rust, so I'm not really worried about it. Might hit it with a scratch sprite or something real quick, but yeah, it's ready to go in. So now this one's in, I'm gonna do the downpipe, and then after that I'm gonna do the oil lines and stuff, and yeah, then it'll be getting pretty close to start. All right guys, so the car is back together. Turbo's all on there, heat shields are on. Hey. And I ran it for a little bit, and it just has a massive oil leak from the valve cover. If I just sit here and rev it up, no oil's leaking, so I don't think it's the oil feed. But when I go on a drive and then I step on it, so you know the G-force moves you back a little bit, then there's oil all over the turbo, and I think it's all just coming from the valve cover gasket. So I'm gonna pull the valve cover now, and I have a gasket on the way, so later today I'll replace that gasket, and hopefully we'll be leak free at that point and ready to drive. I also need to adjust the preload because I only did 2 turns because that's how much the Borg Warner wastegate had. So I did 2 turns and I'm seeing about 8 PSI when it should be closer to 15. So I'm gonna add another turn and also boost leak test it, make sure there's no boost leaks, and hopefully it'll be good to go. All right, got the valve cover off, and yeah, I think the gasket was just split right there. So that explains a big leak, and it is just rock hard. So yeah, this gasket needed to be replaced. So now I'm gonna clean the surface, and I'm really gonna, yeah. So the top of the valve cover is gunky, but inside the engine, it looks pretty decent. A little like yellowing or browning, but it is not as gunky as I thought it was gonna be, so that's good. But I'm gonna clean the top of the valve cover and just get it as perfect as I can, since I have to wait for the gasket to come in a few hours anyways. All right, valve cover's back on. It's looking really nice. I cleaned up everything. I cleaned up intake manifold area, exhaust manifold area, and put the heat shield back on the turbo manifold, cleaned that up. Turbo's new. So yeah, just cleaned everything. Even this intercooler pipe, got some oil on it. Cleaned that. What else? Let me drop the airbox in and we'll see how it all looks. All right, it is all together and looking funny just because it has a huge airbox covering like the whole engine. But I cleaned everything because the only thing this car really has is a nice engine bay. The rest of it, it is just beat. Faded paint there, real faded clear right here, and then just a weird body design. You know, these cars are just weird. The car for the airbag light, I'm not sure what's going on with the airbag light. I think it might be missing one of the airbags, something like that maybe. Seat belt, I just need to put my seat belt on. For the ABS module needs to be VIN coded, and same thing for traction. TPMS, it's got different wheels, so that's why TPMS is on. That's my lights. No check engine though. Running pretty good. Leaking coolant. That's why my belt's squealing. Alright, let's see how she drives. So it actually drives pretty smooth for how cheap it was, I guess. No real noises or anything so far, and drives straight. Yeah, not bad. Once it warms up, we'll do a little pull in it. Alright, let's see what it has. Hey, not bad, not bad at all. Alright, nobody behind me. Let's try a dig. Wheel spin. Wheel spin. Okay. It's zippy. So that's my HHR SS. It's definitely not the fastest car. It's not a pretty car, but it can be pretty cool, and I have $1,000 into it. It came with that turbo, and I think I spent $25 on the valve cover gasket and what, another 30 on oil. So maybe a few more things, have 11, almost 12, maybe 1,200 into it. That is not a bad car for $1,200 in my opinion. The main thing I have to do now is paint this fender and probably the bumper right here, because they left tape on it or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to get that off. But that stuff needs to be fixed. Make that fender decent. This door has a dent, but I might just leave it. It's a beater. Get this side skirt up more. I need to find a rear bumper, which Pick Apart has a bunch of these things. I'll probably just put a base model one on. As long as it's black, it'll be fine. There's the turbocharged badge. Need a wing. Might have to just get like a cheap one if I can't find an OEM one. And then this quarter, I'm gonna buff it, and it'll probably buff decent, except for this huge scratch right here and the clear coat fade right here. I might paint it. If I'm painting that fender, I might as well paint this too. Dent. I have the side skirt for this side. I just have to throw it on. Dent right here, just gonna leave. Dent right there, just gonna leave. And that's it. So yeah, as you can see, body needs a good amount of work. I might do a video on that, might not. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this car. I just got it because it was a good deal and I've always wanted one, but I don't have the space for it. So I'm gonna see if one of my friends wants it or something like that, and try to sell it to one of them or something. Let me know what you guys thought of this quirky car, and definitely leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.
Capital then a lieutenant, I step on the gas and the wicked is spinning. I pay the rent with the shit that I'm pinning. You see me in polo, you know that it's vintage. Working with Ollie, you gotta be kidding. Lil' homie, let's get it, I spit it a city. Foot on the pedal, I shift and I pin it. I got me a scarf and it's Damier printed.